Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss about basic principles of object-oriented programming. So, you are going to see what are the basic principles available, and each one of the principles are explained in detail. So, first we will say the what are the basic principles of object-oriented programming. First one is data abstraction, then you have inheritance, then polymorphism, and then finally we have encapsulation. So, we are going to see one by one. First one is data abstraction. Data abstraction is an act of representing the essential features without knowing the background details. It is always relative to the purpose or the user. We take an example of a camera where you have a digital camera with buttons. So, anyone who uses a digital camera looks familiar to take photographs. Okay, they are very familiar with the buttons and it is very simple to use. Okay, but no one knows what happens after the button is clicked. Okay, you don't know what is the mechanism is followed in the internal part of the camera, how the images are stored in the digital camera. So, the mechanism is not known, the details, background detail is not known. Okay, but still you can use the digital camera by knowing the essential features. Okay, so it is not necessary that you need to know the mechanism, that is background details. So, this is what you call data abstraction. Next we are going to see is inheritance. The term inheritance means to share a common properties of one class with another class. This can be done by extending a class into another class. You would have studied the term heredity in biology, which means the transmission of generally based characteristics from parents to the offsprings. We inherit thousands of characteristics from one parent who in turn had inherited those from their parents and so on. So, you can have an parent, okay, the properties or the characteristics can be taken from the parent, that is, a child can take the properties of the parents, okay, and their child can do the same. So, it goes on like that. Similarly, a class acquires some properties from another class. This is possible by deriving a new class from the existing class. So, if you want to derive a class from another class, it is not only deriving a class, it is also deriving the properties of the parent class, whichever it is derived from. The new class will have the combined features of both the class. Not only it has its own properties, it is also acquiring the properties of the inherited class. The class that gets inherited to another class is known as base class or superclass. So, you are going to inherit another class from the current class. The current class name is base class. The class that inherits from the base class is known as derived class, or you can say a subclass. So, if you are going to derive another class, the derived class, okay, it is known as subclass. Let us take an example of a class animal, which can be broadly classified into two, that is carnivorous and herbivorous. Carnivorous is flesh eating animals, and herbivorous are plant eating animals. So, under that carnivorous and herbivorous, you got a lot of specific features, okay, or specific creatures like tiger and lion, which is of type carnivorous, and cow and goat, which are the type of herbivorous. Okay, so this will turn say for example carnivorous, which has the properties of an animal, and tiger and lion has the features, that is characteristics of a carnivorous. It eats meat. Same way herbivorous, that is cow and goat, has the properties of herbivorous, that it eats that is normal green vegetables or leaves. Okay. So, during inheritance, the elements of the base class are shared by the derived class. As a result, it may happen that the elements performing a specific task in the base class can be used to perform another task in derived class. This feature is called as reusability. So, inheritance, you can also use a term reusability. Okay, you can share a specific task of the base class okay, which can be also be used to perform another task of the derived class. So you can reuse the same method or a task which is available in the parent class. So this is a concept of inheritance. Next we are going to see is the term polymorphism is defined as the process of using function or method for more than one purpose. Okay, let us take an example of an English word duck, okay, which resembles an short legs, webbed feet, okay, a broad bill, okay. So it lives in both land and water. Okay, the same word duck in cricket means a batsman who got out for with no score, without scoring, he gets out. That is also called as duck. So same word duck can be meant in two different ways. Okay, depends upon the context. Okay, so you are going to see the method which has the same name. Okay, you can take an example of say you got a method called volume. Okay, you can find the volume of a cube, you can find the volume of a cuboid, you can find the volume of a circle. Okay, so the basic name is volume, but it may appear in different forms. It may be the volume of cube, volume of cuboid, or volume of circle. Okay, so this polymorphism is one of the object oriented programming principle that allows the user to use the function for multiple purpose. Okay, so you can use these polymorphism concept. Okay, you can use the function for different purpose. It is implemented by using function overloading. So what is this function overloading is? A function overloading is a technique to use a number of functions with the same name having different parameters. Say for example, volume of a cube have a parameter side. Same way, volume of a cuboid have the parameters length, breadth and height. So 3 parameters. And again volume of circle has another parameter called radius and also pi. Okay, so by using these 3 different functions with the same name, but a difference is shown in the parameters, you can call the functions, okay, using the method called overloading, that is function overloading. So this concept is called as polymorphism. Next is encapsulation, that is the final topic. So it is another feature of object oriented programming which restricts the free flow of data from one object to another. The data and functions are wrapped together in an object such that data can only be accessed in the associated functions. You can see the arrow marks, you can see the function is being communicated. Okay, and the data can be accessed only through the functions related to that object. So you can see the data are being accessed through the functions of each object, but when you communicate between the objects, you can see the communication is done through the member functions. Okay, so thus we can say that the data is kept hidden and cannot be accessed directly outside the object. So you cannot access the data directly, you can access only through the functions. Okay, so this is the context. In this context, we could be inferred that the state and behavior are encapsulated in an object oriented programming to prevent their isolation from each other. Okay, the system of wrapping the data and functions into a single unit is known as encapsulation. Okay, so hope you understood this video about the different principles of object oriented programming. We meet you in the next video. Till then, thank you.